Ciao Fabri, welcome back in our podcast. Today we speak about Chelsea because Chelsea they are showing also after the summer transfer window they are one of the most active clubs when it comes to transfers and they just signed another player.
Yeah, and this is going to be Emanuel Emegha because this was an exclusive story from the recent days, and it's important to enter into this because that's what we do here on Men in Blazers into the strategy. And Chelsea show that they are always active on the market, that they are always tracking opportunities. And obviously, for Emanuel Emegha, was quite easy. He's a player that is into the same ownership with Strasbourg, and so Chelsea have had the opportunity to monitor this player last season. He was fantastic for Strasbourg. This summer, Emegha really wanted to stay at Strasbourg to lead them into European football, to be an important player for Liam Rossinior again in Ligue 1 this season. But then from 2026, the opportunity to go to Premier League was his priority, and so Chelsea decided to go for Emegha because they believed that this was the moment. This was the right moment to prepare this move, to sign this pre-contract for 2026. Then Chelsea will decide very soon whether they want to bring in Emegha in 2026, meaning January, or if in a summer transfer window for season 26-27. But in the next months, Chelsea will make a decision on when is the right time to bring Emegha. For sure, they're very happy with the player. They're very happy with his development. They believe that he can be an important part of the project for present and future, and this is why they decided to anticipate other clubs really interested in the player.
Talking about other clubs interested in the player, which were the other clubs interested to sign Mega as well?
Look, there was a lot of interest, especially from Italy also, because I can tell you that over the summer transfer window before signing Openda and before all the Randall Colomoni saga, Juventus considered the possibility to sign Emanuel Emegha. He was a player on their short list, then was never close or possible because for Strasbourg was untouchable, and then the player had this desire to go to Premier League. In Premier League, there was also interest from Aston Villa. There was interest about Champions League clubs also from Bayern, so another club exploring the conditions of the Emegha deal early in the window, I mean end of May, beginning of June, before, for example, Villa signed all the signings they completed, including Harvey Elliott, also before Bayern decided to go for Nico Jackson. And so Emegha was a target for several clubs, was in the list of several clubs, and Chelsea decided to anticipate all of them. Don't forget, for all those who say, okay, Chelsea signed a player because obviously it's the same ownership, of course this makes things easy on club side. On the other side, you always need an agreement with the player. You always need the green light from the player, and if Emegha didn't want to go to Chelsea and wanted to join another club, he had his rights to go elsewhere. So Chelsea really wanted to anticipate other sides.
Heading to 2026, what we are doing here today in the podcast of talking about Chelsea, do you think this move can have consequences also on other players in Chelsea's roster?
Yeah, I think so, because when you bring in a striker like him, of course, this will have an impact for sure. Chelsea consider Emegha a striker who can be ready to make an impact also in Premier League, a player who can be already immediately, whether it's going to be January or summer transfer window, part of the plans of Enzo Maresca. So this is not just a signing for trading. This is a signing because they really trust Emanuel Emegha. So I think the consequence can be especially for Nico Jackson. I think with Emegha joining, the feeling internally at Chelsea is that Emegha has that potential that they want to trust for the future. Is a similar player with different skills, but similar player, similar profile to Nico Jackson. And now with Jackson going on loan to Bayern, okay, there is a loan with option to buy that might become an obligation, very difficult. But in any case, I think this move of Emanuel Emegha to Chelsea is probably closing all the doors for Chelsea return in the future for Nicolas Jackson. And we will see whether he's going to stay at Bayern or maybe go elsewhere. But I think this is probably the end for Jackson at Chelsea.
One of the names of the summer for Chelsea was Fermin Lopez. The player said very clearly he didn't want to leave Barcelona in the summer transfer window, but what's next for Chelsea in 2026?
Yeah, for Fermin, finally now, without the transfer window, he can be more relaxed, and Barca fans can already enjoy his performances because he did fantastic yesterday. And also, I think the message from Hansi Flick after the game was quite clear, something like, okay, finally now after the window we can see the real Fermin, because the speculation was very strong and the story was very concrete around Fermin Lopez. Chelsea offered 40 million euros to sign Fermin. Then that money was never going to be enough to convince Barcelona, and also not to convince the player, but was not about the money. Fermin didn't want to leave Barcelona. Fermin wanted to play for Barca. Fermin wants to play for Barca, as he said in public. So this is why the deal didn't happen. I think, from what I'm told, Chelsea sent that bid, even if they knew that the deal was almost impossible, because they really wanted to make the player feel that their interest is concrete. It's not just one of many players they like. They really believe Fermin would be perfect for what they're building at Chelsea. So today it's a no from Fermin Lopez and from Barcelona. Fermin also sends a clear message for the future. I want to stay at Barca. I hope to stay at Barca for many years. So at the moment there is really nothing into it. But I think Chelsea wanted to show to Fermin that maybe in the future, if any moment in 2026, 27, 28 or whenever, Fermin decides to revisit his future and try something different, well, Chelsea would be there because they really like him and they didn't offer 40 million euros just it was their time. They really believe that Fermin can be an important player for the future.
A player that had a chance to leave Chelsea was Andrey Santos. There were also offers, right, coming for him in the summer.
Yeah, especially from Saudi. I can say that there was a really big proposal coming from Saudi Pro League that was worth, I saw some reports of 40 million euros. I'm told that it was more than that. From what I'm hearing, was more than 50 million euros for Andrey Santos. Imagine what a business for Chelsea, who signed the player, I think it was 18 million euros when they signed him from Vasco da Gama a few years ago, and then sent him on loan to Strasbourg. He did very well there, but Chelsea said no to that proposal from Al-Qadsia, and also the player said no to that opportunity because Chelsea believed that Andrey Santos can become a special player. So Chelsea didn't want to entertain any conversation with the opportunity to sell Andrey Santos. Andrey didn't want to move to Saudi at this stage of his career, and also in a World Cup season. He can be obviously part of the World Cup team for Carlo Ancelotti with the Seleção. So for Andrey Santos was not the right moment, even if they were prepared to offer him a crazy salary, more than double of what he's earning now at Chelsea. So despite this opportunity, Andrey Santos and Chelsea decided to continue together. Then there is a club that is always trying to sign Andrey Santos every transfer window, and this Porto. Porto love this player. They would love to bring him in, but was impossible this summer.
Acheampong is also another player that attracted interest this summer, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of interest in Acheampong because there was, let me say, some concrete call in the final weeks of the transfer window. For example, before signing Malik Chow, Newcastle thought of Acheampong as one of the possible options, but for Chelsea it was impossible to let him go. Also, Bournemouth wanted the player on loan in that case. So get the player on loan and then find an agreement with Chelsea, but also in that case, Chelsea closed the doors to that opportunity. And then there is a club that also appreciate the player a lot. This was something that they considered to do at the end of May, beginning of June, when maybe Kim Min-jae was considered as one of the players to maybe leave the club, and then he didn't, and it's Bayern. Bayern really appreciate Acheampong, but again, Kim didn't leave. Bayern decided to continue with the current players, and also don't forget that Chelsea didn't want to sell Acheampong in any case.
Talking about behind the scenes of the summer and also before the summer, did Chelsea really try to include a Ballon d'Or clause in the contract of Estevao?
Yes, there is a Ballon d'Or clause into the contract of William Estevao, into the deal made between Chelsea and Palmeiras, because when Chelsea agreed that famous 67 million euros package, 35 fix plus several add-ons, when they agreed on that package, Chelsea message was already quite clear. We hope to pay that money because it means that Estevao is performing very well, because all the bonuses are linked to starting in Premier League, to winning trophies, and one of these bonuses, a special bonus, is linked to Estevao winning the Ballon d'Or, and this is showing the confidence that all parties had in William Estevao when they made the deal. Obviously, now it's still very early, it's not time to think about the Ballon d'Or, but this is showing how Chelsea have big confidence in this boy, how Palmeiras are convinced that Estevao can get there one day, and so there is this clause. Obviously, at the moment is not something that Chelsea are thinking about, because they only think on Estevao developing, improving, keep doing what he's doing, but this is something curious that is showing the confidence in this boy.
Talking about contracts, what's the contract plan for Chelsea in the coming weeks?
Yeah, they extended the contract of Marco Cucurella, so the Cucurella deal is 100% signed, so that's already done as something that we revealed here on the podcast. I'm told that Chelsea also want to negotiate and to advance a new contract for Moises Caicedo. Caicedo is really fantastic. I think he's showing his quality every single game, and Chelsea are very happy with him. They invested big money, of course, but Chelsea believe that it was very well spent. They like the leadership, they like the skills, they like the behavior of Moises Caicedo. Chelsea believe that Moises Caicedo is setting the example also for many other players for the future, young players for the future, super professional, super serious, performing at top level. He scored a fantastic goal over the weekend, then Brentford equalized, and so maybe didn't have the same effect, but what Caicedo is doing is something really special. So Chelsea want to extend his contract, want to give him what he deserves. Of course, he's already on a big salary, but probably to give him something else in order not to have any problems with maybe future clubs in the next years. But again, Caicedo will be a big part of Chelsea plans.
Last question for today, talking about Chelsea. Ask you the same question from Manchester United in the last episode. Are Chelsea tracking a specific position for 2026?
Yeah, they're tracking several positions because this is what Chelsea do, always very active on the market, never passive, and so this is what Chelsea are doing. They are looking at potential opportunities, for example, also at centre back. At the moment, from what I always told you, Chelsea never wanted to sign a new centre back in the summer transfer window, even after the injury of Levi Colwill, because they believe they have depth. But when it's about talents, so young players, not opportunities in terms of loan or these sort of things. But if there is some young player with good quality, for Chelsea is always time for a good opportunity. And so they are tracking some players, especially abroad, also out of England, keeping close eye to some opportunities. So we will be back here on the podcast to tell you more. Now it's still early, still September, but Chelsea are always very active and attentive to the market.
Thank you, Fabri, for today. We'll be back soon and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Ciao, guys.